Welcome, everyone, to A Mexican and a Redneck Father the World. We are your hosts and surrogate fathers, Juan and Ben. Today we'll be discussing developing lifelong friends.
Well, I think a really simple thing to do is just, people just need to watch us, Ben.
Just watch.
Just watch us.
Watch a
This
life.
right here is a lifelong friendship.
Lifelong friendships.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
You're saying it.
And it might get dangerous because every now and then you like to bring guns.
I do.
So our life could be actually really short.
It could.
Yeah.
But lifelong is relative to the life.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
If we dive tomorrow, you probably would be one of my lifelong friends.
Yeah. Yeah. No, developing lifelong friends. So this can look very different as far as like what the goal is and how do you come across. I know in my life I have some friends who have become lifelong friends, but I don't necessarily spend all my time with them. But we've had an experience, we have had an encounter to where it's like you've become a brother, you become a lifelong friend. And if I don't see you in 10 years, I can still call you and be like, "Hey man, how are you doing?" And just pick right up where we left off.
Oh yeah.
But I think this is very important as far as developing those. Because especially in our society that we live in now, I think we have a lot of acquaintances, but we don't actually have friends, or we may not even know what a friend is supposed to do.
It's like your work friends. So when you're at work, you're having a great time with them, but you rarely see them outside of work.
Yeah.
Or you have that social group friend, but outside of that social group, they really don't know much about you.
Yeah. So let's even define what a friend is, because there's a quote that I've heard that a friend sticks closer than a brother. Your brothers, I have pretty good brothers. Like if I call them, they're like, "Hey, I'll help you out," But a friend is that individual who has absolutely no attachment to you, but then you call him at 3:00 in the morning and he's like, "Yeah, I'll be there." A best friend is the guy that's doing the stuff with you at 3:00 in the morning. You shouldn't be doing. You're like, yeah.
He's like, "How are we gonna bury this body? We can't let anyone find out about this."
Yeah. So like, a good friend is the guy that bails you out from the jail. A best friend is the guy that's like
getting you into jail.
He's in jail with you.
He's like, "Oh, we got to call your good friends."
Yeah. You want to call your good friends so you can bail us out of here? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's a real truth. Good definitions. Glad we figured that out.
So, and I feel like that's how you and I are becoming. It's where it's like we're doing things together.
We're going to go to jail together.
We're going to go to jail together.
That's what's actually
and then we're going to call our good friends and be like, "Hey, can you guys bail us out?"
You two went to jail? Oh, yeah. It was just a misunderstanding.
Yeah. It's like, Just, anyways, don't even want to go down that road. But who knows? We may end up in jail.
It is what it is.
It'll be for a good reason.
Statistically, we should have already been in jail from where we came from. So we're doing all right.
We're doing good. We're doing really good.
We're doing podcasting to help people be better.
And not go to jail.
And not go to jail. Don't go to jail.
Have you ever been to jail?
Never been to jail.
Never been to jail?
Never been to jail.
Oh, man.
Never been arrested.
Really?
I know. It's shocking that's your response.
Yeah. I was like, well, just from some of the stories you tell me, I was like, yeah, surely you've been arrested.
No.
I've been arrested a couple times.
Oh.
Yeah, I got arrested in high school. And then I had an arrest warrant out for me in my early 20s. Yeah. I actually had to turn myself in and call my bail bondsman to get me out of jail. It was fun.
Was that a pre-established relationship from the way you describe it? My bail bondsman, not a bail bondsman.
I'm sorry, a bail bondsman. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I got a guy. He's my bail bondsman.
Yeah, well, one of my roommates that I when I lived with, I think he turned into a bail bondsman at one point. I need to keep up with him, but anyways, we were roommates. We weren't friends.
Okay.
Yeah. But no, it's funny story. So like. I was taking my sister to work, and traffic was just like jammed up, and so she was working at Taco Bell at the time, and like there was the medium, the side where you can kind of like, and I was like, man, I can just cut across that and get into her store. Well, you're not supposed to drive on that, so I just cut, and then there was a state trooper like literally right behind me, and literally it was like 50 feet, so I cut that, pulls me over, he's like, yeah, gonna give you a ticket, and I was like, oh crap. He's like, and it was like for like $75. And I was like, do I just need to pay this ticket or I actually need to go to court? He's like, oh, you can just pay the ticket. So I just paid the ticket, didn't go to court. So then a couple months later, there's another sheriff at my door knocking. He's like, hey, got an arrest warrant for you. I was like, for what? He's like, you didn't go to court. I was like, oh, I thought I was only supposed to pay the ticket. And he's like, no, you were supposed to present yourself in court. I was like, oh, okay. So then I had to go literally turn myself into jail, call a bail bondsman, pay that, and then go to court. And then the judge was like, why didn't you show up for court? And I was like, oh, I thought I only had to pay the ticket. He's like, yeah, you were supposed to be here. And I was like, oh, okay. So it wasn't like a big deal. But still, like now every time that I fly outside of the country and I come back in, I always get put in that little room. It's like, oh, you were arrested in so and so year. Like, what happened? I'm like, oh. So I have to tell them the story, and it's like, it's kind of annoying. It's like it's not even a good story. Like why I went to jail.
You
know?
didn't rescue some girl from the drunk in the bar.
It wasn't like I was trying to,
something.
or like, like I wasn't like a real criminal, like trying to kill somebody or bank robbery or something.
Right, smuggling or bootlegging.
Yeah, it's just
you're like it was just a misunderstanding.
I was just trying to take my sister to work.
It was just a traffic violation that led to.
That's it.
To going to jail.
Yeah,
it happens.
Yeah, that's it.
I didn't know that about you.
Yep. There you go. And
I've gotten speeding tickets, but I just paid for them and went to driving school, and that was it.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're not talking about lifelong friendship. We're just rambling.
No, we're talking about lifelong friendships. Yes, because this is how you become a lifelong friend.
This is true. You find out about your.
You find out. You find out stories. You share stories. You share commonalities. It's like, why do you choose the friends that you choose? Because you see something in them that you like. You like hanging out with that individual.
Yeah.
You like their stories. It's like, oh, I can relate with you. You're just an idiot just like I am.
Yes.
Let's be idiots together.
I was an idiot in different ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, but speaking of French, I have a funny story too. So I played in bands, and I was playing in this one band, and we played a gig. It started at 9 and ended at like 2 a.m. So it was like 4 or 5 hour gig or something. And I was the only one sober to drive home from that gig. Because once it's over, you pack up your stuff, you kind of talking to people. So it was like 3 a.m, and we're driving back. And the band I was playing with, it was a husband and wife, and they were spending the night at my house because they had come from out of town and they were where I lived. And so we're driving back, and I'm driving them home, and they're very much not sober. She's like laid down in the back seat, just out. And he's in the front seat with me talking to me. It's like 3 a.m, and he is wound up on, I don't know what he was wound up on. Mm-hmm. It wasn't just excitement from the show.
Yeah.
And so I'm driving back, and I'm tired, and he's just sitting there in the passenger seat, and he's like, hey, let me tell you some Irish folk tales. And so he's in the passenger seat telling me all these Irish folk tales and fables. And he's doing it in an Irish accent the whole time. And he's like, blah, 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 and like bouncing around my car saying all this stuff and listening to music incredibly loud. And I'm like, who am I riding with? You are not the guy who I met at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
And so he's riding back, and he's like, hey, you know what? What? And he's like, I think some people are put into our lives for a moment in time, and there are really good friends for that moment in time, but then you may never see them again. I'm like, you are stoned out of your mind, but that is some very insightful stuff. You have lots of non-natural things running through your body right now, and I really like what they're saying. And I was thinking, that's interesting, because some people you may only meet once, but they're incredibly inspiring.
Yeah.
And some people you may know for decades, and they're incredibly inspiring. But I think friendship, like lifelong friends, is important. It's amazing. It's someone who you can relate to on the day-to-day. They're accountable. But I've had friends where like I thought we were going to be friends forever, mm-hmm. and it may have only lasted a few years. That's not to say if I saw him again, I wouldn't be like, oh, I love you. You're great. I'm so glad you're doing good or whatever. But at the same time, it's like, it's hard to really choose that friend you can see every week, and have them really help you grow.
Yeah.
It's really interesting, this whole dynamic.
It's funny, man. Like car rides, you really get to know somebody when you ride a car together.
Yes.
It's like I remember when I was outside of I had graduated high school, and my best friend in high school, him and I were both from California, or grew up in California. He grew up in like in the LA area, and I grew up more in the Central Valley, McFarland. And so we decided, like, we planned this trip. It's like, hey, we're gonna drive from Nashville to California together. And it's a 36-hour drive. So we're like super excited, and like we're gonna hang out like a week in his hometown, and then hang out a couple of days in my hometown. And so we went on this road trip, and at first it was awesome. It's like super excited, like yeah, like on the way back, I couldn't stand the guy. I was like, I'm done hanging out with you.
Was he driving and you were like in the back seat behind him?
No,
like,
we drove.
Shut up! I don't
drove
want to hear a word you
we
say."
drove a pickup truck, so we were both.
Oh,
you
you were just right there.
Yeah, we were just right there. There's no like escaping him and everything like that. But even I was just like, yeah, it like after that, our friendship was over. I was like, I saw him.
No.
Like, I mean, we're still friends. We weren't best friends. We're not planning another car trip after that.
No.
But it was so funny, man. But it's like I learned a lesson from that though. It's like, man, if you really want to get to know somebody, go on a car trip with them. It's like, because there's been many times. There's another good friend of mine. That's how we became best friends. We were doing multi-level marketing, and then we went on a road trip together. And it's like next thing you know, it's like, are we best friends? It's like, yep. Best friends.
That's how it happened.
Yep, that's how it happens. It's like, if you can stand being in the car with a dude for like 8 hours straight and still like the guy, that's a pretty good sign.
That is.
Yeah.
That's a good. We should probably go
We
on a road
probably
trip.
need to do that, Ben.
Before we do anything else,
Yeah.
we just need to hit pause right now.
Yep.
Go on a road trip, come back, and then finish the last
Tell your
3
wife.
minutes.
Tell your wife I'll be back Sunday.
Me and Juan are just gonna drive somewhere. We're gonna go pick apples in the Northeast.
There's something about it. Like if you just take a long road trip, it's like, because you really get to know the guy, the habits. Like, man, you're a crappy driver. Your taste in music is horrible. I don't know.
Those are big identifiers of who someone is.
Yeah.
Well, but you have to eventually be vulnerable at some point.
Yeah.
In that moment, like you can't just keep the guard up if you want the conversation to keep going. You have to let your guard down some at the very least.
Oh yeah.
That's a good.
It works. Like I did it with Brittany when her and I were dating.
Oh yeah.
'Cause she's my best friend. I married my best friend.
I married my best friend too.
I think, and I think that's another thing too. Like that I kind of want to talk about as far as like developing lifelong friends is that one of the most important friendships that you need to develop is with your spouse. Because that's very important.
Because life's gonna happen.
Yes.
You're gonna go on a lot of road trips with that friend.
And you definitely want to.
If y'all take nothing from this, people listening or watching, like, if you're dating someone after a few months and you're like, this is kind of getting serious, get in the car with them and drive a really long distance.
Yes.
Because I'm looking back now and I'm like, I'm really glad we went on some trips.
Yes. Because I'm telling you. So when Brady and I were, I don't know, man, how long are we had been dating for like just a few months. And she told me, she's like, yeah, I'm going to go see my grandma in Texas. And so I invited myself. I was like, oh, I'll go with you. And she's like, I don't know if we're there yet. I was like, look, this is what's going to happen. We're either going to fall madly in love with each other and be like, I want to spend the rest of my life with this guy, or we're never going to want to see each other again. Either way, it's a win-win situation. So luckily it was a win-win situation because afterwards was like, oh yeah.
Or was it a win-win-win?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of,
there's a third win because both of you won.
Yeah. Yeah, but
and,
that was
and the car won.
Yeah. But it's, oh man, that's if you don't take anything out of this, if you're dating somebody and it's like you just go on a road trip with them. Caveat though. If the person becomes violent and you don't want to see them, and if it becomes too dangerous, leave their ass and just drive away.
Just
drive away. Yeah. If there's signs, I'm telling you, because that thing just happened with that one girl. And the guy, we're talking about this. I don't know. It's in the news. I don't know the name.
I don't watch the news.
This couple, they went on a
No
long
one
road
should
trip.
watch the news.
They went on a long road trip for like a month, and then the guy came back, but she didn't. And then the FBI just found her body. So I'm sure.
Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
Leave her somewhere safe.
The point
with money to get home.
The
That's
point
important.
of the road trip is not to
Or
commit
him.
a crime, is to realize yeah, we're not going past this road trip. So if it gets really bad and you just want to leave him at a bus stop, leave him at a bus stop. It'll be fine.
With money.
Just leave him at a bus stop.
They'll be
It'll
fine.
be fine. Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Maybe plan for a way back if it's not working out.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that was my contingency plan.
Everybody needs, a couple $100 in their pocket to get back.
No, that was my contingency plan. Because like we went when Brittany and I went on the trip. We went in her car. So I was like, she's like, what if we just can't stay? And she was like, drop me off at a bus stop and I'll come back home.
Yes.
And or
So take her car when you do this experiment.
yeah,
That's the moral of the story. You can ride the bus back as the man.
Yeah.
She can take her car back.
Yeah.
That's the safe way to say
be
that.
a gentleman.
Be a gentleman.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny. Lifelong friendship, Juan.
Well, anyways, guys, with that being said, we want to thank you for listening to Mexican and Redneck Follow the World. We love you, and we're proud of you.